How Spider Got a Thin Waist, a West African Folktale by Joyce Cooper Arkhurst. Many dry seasons ago, before the oldest man in our village can remember, before the rain in the dry and the rain in the dry that any of us can talk about to his children, Spider was a very big person. He does not look as he does today, with his fat head and his big fat body and a thin waist in between. Of course, he had 2 eyes and 8 legs, and he lived in a web, but none of them was thin. He was big and round, and his waistline was very fat indeed. Today he's very different, as all of us know, and this is how it came to pass. One day Spider was walking through the forest. It was clear early morning, and he had noticed an unusually pleasant smell. He wrinkled his nose and sniffed the wind. It was food. Goodness, he had almost forgotten. Today was the festival of the harvest. Every village in the big forest was preparing a feast. The women were cooking yams and cassava and chicken with peanut-flavored sauce. There would be fish, peppers, and rice boiling in great pots over the fires. Spider's heart jumped for joy. His mouth watered. His eyes sparkled and he smiled brightly. Already he could taste the food on his tongue. Now, of course, Spider had not done any of the work to deserve any feast, and no one had invited him to come and eat. Spider had not yet planted a tomato or a yam. He had not planted rice or gone to sea in a long boat to catch fish, for Spider did not like to work at all. All day long he played in the sun or slept, and since it is not the custom to refuse food to anyone who comes to one's door, he could eat very well by simply visiting all of his friends. In fact, he ate more than his friends did. Now, Spider was right in the middle of the forest. Not far away, there were 2 villages. Spider stood in the middle, and the 2 were exactly the same distance away. Today, each village would have a great feast. How lucky for me, thought Spider. But then he was puzzled. Since there was 2 dinners, he did not know what they would wanted to go to. That is, he did not know which one would have the most to eat. So Spider sat under a breadfruit tree and thought and thought and thought. At last he had an idea. He could go to them both. Of course, Spider was so pleased with the good idea that he did a little dance right there and then. But how could he know when the food was ready? He sat under the breadfruit tree again and thought and thought and thought. And then he had another idea. He did another little dance, just because he was so brilliant. And then he did 2 things. He called his eldest son Kuma, who took a long rope and tied the end to his waist, and the other end he gave to his son. "Take this rope to the village on the east," he said to Kuma. "When the food is ready, give the rope a hard pull, and I will know when it's time for me to come and eat." And so Kuma went to the east village and took the end of the rope with him. Then Spider called his younger son Kawaku. He took another long rope and tied it around his waist, just below the first one. "Kawaku, take this rope to the west village, and when the food is all cooked, pull very hard on it. Then I will come and have my fill." So Kawaku went to the west village, carrying the end of the rope with him. My friends, can you imagine what happened? I don't think so. So I will tell you. The people in the east village and the people in the west village had their dinners exactly the same time. So of course, Kuma and Kawaku pulled both on the ropes at the same time. Kuma pulled to the east and Kawaku pulled to the west. The ropes got tighter and tighter. Poor greedy Spider got caught in the middle, and he could go neither east nor west, nor left nor right. Kuma and Kawaku could not understand why their father did not come, and then they pulled harder and harder all the time. And something was happening to Spider. The rope squeezed tighter and tighter, and his waist got thinner and thinner. And Kuma and Kawaku waited until the food was all eaten. They came to look for their father. When they found him, he looked very different. His waistline was thinner. Spider looked very different. His waistline was thinner than a needle. Spider never grew fat again. He stayed the same until today. He had a big head and a big body and a tiny little waist in between. Now for my presentation, I used a few different things. I used a lot of gesticulation, moving my hands and my arms around to make sure that I was expressing the big points of this story here. And also what I used was controlling my pitch. I would get a little bit higher in parts where it was time to get excited, and I slowed down a little bit there at the end. when the spider was getting thinner, just because I thought that needed to be dramatized a little bit more. Thank you for watching my presentation.